Hello, and welcome to Mind Your Head, a space for people to share their stories, talk openly and honestly about their own mental health challenges, and to give some listeners some comfort in knowing you're not alone. Before we get into today's episode, I want to quickly share something that I've been loving lately. Cooking's always been a big outlet for me. It helps me slow down, switch off, and put my energy to something creative. After a long day, it's honestly one of the best ways I've found to release stress and just reset. That's why I genuinely love HelloFresh. It makes cooking easy, takes the stress out of figuring out what to make, and the meals are actually unreal. So if you're looking for a simple way to eat better, enjoy cooking a bit more, check out HelloFresh. Use the code MindYourHead at checkout for up to $240 off your first 6 boxes. I've always asked my guests, what are your 3 non-negotiables for living a healthy and full life? For me, it's movement, community, and good nutrition. I've learned that what you fill your body with plays a massive role in how you feel physically and mentally. That's why I use True Protein. They're an Aussie brand doing things the right way. Clean, natural supplements with no artificial additives or fillers. Everything's made in-house in Sydney's northern beaches using the highest quality ingredients sourced from around the world. Whether it's supporting energy, improving focus, or reducing fatigue, their products genuinely help me show up better every single day. And just like Mind Your Head, they live by values I stand by. Be true, be you, and take care of your whole self. Matt, welcome to Mind Your Head, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on today. Massive fan of yours and the work that you're doing, and even just the chat we had then, a lot of similarities between me and you, so it's a pleasure to have you on today.
Nah, thanks for doing what you're doing, mate. And it's our time we caught up. It's on me for that. So
yeah, well, is it though?
Well, we've just travelled, man.
We have been travelling, man. I've been on a honeymoon, and I was sort of getting married and stuff. So the year's been pretty full on. So I'm happy to be here. Yeah, absolutely. I like to do a mental health check-in when I first start. This is something that I do with myself. This is something to do with my wife, my friends. So how's the mind, body, and spirit going at the moment?
I'm glad you asked. I've been much better.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been much better. It's been a tough year. It's been a really, really tough year. And the last couple of months have just been a big journey of reflection. There's going to be some massive changes coming in my life over the next little period, but yeah, change never feels good, so it's probably where I'm at. But definitely one of those people that are putting it down to like, can't wait to get through to this year and start again and have a clean beginning. But yeah, look, I'm in control. I am well, just challenged by a few things of late, which is all part and parcel. So something's good's going to happen on the other side. I know it.
That's all part of the journey, isn't it, mate?
I'm used to it.
Yeah, you're used to it?
Very used to it.
How do you handle change?
Oh, look, I'm excited about it.
Oh, yeah?
It's probably something I've put off for a long time. So it's just about getting out from where I am in my work at the moment to something new. And I'm looking forward to that. But when you start again and your whole identity is built around something that you've been for so long, and then you want to get out of that identity, it's just like, here we go. And I'm excited by it. But it doesn't make it any easier.
Do you find that in today's society, just on that identity piece, it's very hard for people to let go of that old identity and see you as a new person? I'm only asking that just because when you brought up then sort of if you change careers or even if there's a different version of you. I've gone through my own sort of mental health struggles and I can, openly say that I wasn't a nice human being for a lot of my 20s. I hurt a lot of people and I wasn't a great friend and a great son and I wasn't a good person to be around. And I had to change a lot of habits and a lot of people in my life and change environments. And I was living in Brisbane at the time, and every time I go back to Brisbane, I actually get a really anxious feeling going back there because it brings up old emotions, old feelings, old experiences, and I kind of like my body sort of goes into like a bit of a trauma response type.
Keeps the score.
It keeps the score. It really does. And I remember like going there with my wife. We went and saw Ben Howard, musician in the city, and if we went into the valley, like went into the city where everyone sort of, I used to party and get up to no good. Yeah. And Jordan's like, you're right. I'm like, I'm not all good. Like, I'm not good being here because it's bringing up, past things. And even recently I caught up, I accidentally bumped into some people that I used to knock around with in Brisbane, 10 or so years ago. And I felt like they were seeing me as the same person that I was 10 years ago. And when we were sort of having a conversation and it was like, are you doing this? I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't drink anymore. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't party. And they kind of like, I don't know if they meant to, but you can see them judging, this new version of you. Yeah. And I wonder if it's, do we find it hard to, let go of that old identity and see the new version?
Yeah, I think so. I still have it. I mean,
do you?
Yeah, I mean, I go back to I'm back in Gippsland now, which has been there for a couple of years, but it's where I grew up. And I was the energetic, bubbly, confident kid in school. That, again, happy to put my hand up and say I wasn't necessarily the nicest person. I'm not making excuses for it, but I was young and in primary school. You don't really have a great understanding of emotional regulation and all the rest of it. You probably say some things you probably shouldn't and all the rest of it. I'm not making excuses for it. You can't take that stuff back. But doing all this work in the mental health space and suicide prevention space over the last 10 to 15 years, there's still so many people back home in my town of Gippsland that's just like, that's Matt Runnalls. He shouldn't be able to do this. Who's he to talk about people's mental health and well-being?
He did this, and this.
Yeah. It's just like, well, if you and I still get it to this day. I'm 34. Like, if you still want me to be the old person, I can go back there. So where does that shift? Where's that change where we start to see who someone is and who they've become versus who we know them to be?
Yep, absolutely.
I think we're always going to have that, but it is tough. That identity is fixated around who someone is when they saw you, met you, heard something from someone else, which pigeonholes you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not necessarily a nice thing, but you can't really do anything about it. Like, we can only do good, and you'd like to think that we're doing as much of that as we can, but sometimes people are going to stay fixated on what they believe you to be.
Because I have recently had Todd Carney on the podcast, and obviously his journey through addiction and some of the things that he got up to in his NRL career, and he's doing amazing work now. He does a lot of stuff with youth and talking about. He's so open about his story and all the things that he got up to. And he still has comments like we posted something not too long ago, and everyone was like, "Oh, I liked Todd Carney more when he was on the piss. I liked it when he was doing all this. Like, I loved it when he was more doing the bubbler and stuff." And I was just thinking, man, people that's sad because he's such a good human being and he's doing such incredible work. Yet his whole identity to a lot of Australians is the bubbler.
They want us to be something different and something improved, but as soon as we are, they're still fixated on the person that they didn't want us to be.
I wonder, is it highlighting a part within them that they're trying to sort of get better, or things that they've got to improve in their life? And when you see someone go through such a amount of change and do so much good, it's almost like that they feel insecure about themselves that they can't do that as well.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I look at a lot of people in my hometown that are still fixated on that person that I might have been or was, and I look at them and they're not necessarily people that I just say are in the growth mindset area or, going in leaps and bounds. And it doesn't make it any easier to sit there and have them throw shade at you. It is what it is. And I like to put it down that they're still hurting and they're still experiencing some things. But, we all go on this path in different timeframes and different journeys and all the rest. So, I'm sure at some stage they'll get to the point where they grow in leaps and bounds and
hopefully
change the way that they think.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Well, what was home life like for you growing up?
Good. Yeah, I had a great upbringing. I had great. Yeah, my mum and my dad are my two best friends.
Are they?
Yeah, 100%.
I love that.
And I always say it. Look, I'm still teaching my dad to have emotional conversations now, and that's okay. But it's not his fault. But I had a father, and he's my best mate by a mile. I grew up in a world where he set a couple of boundaries without setting boundaries. Like, they weren't forced or fixated or anything. But he was always very clear and a lot of clarity around being honest, and as long as you're always telling the truth, I'll always have your back. And, when you set these boundaries as a young kid, you don't necessarily taste them as love. Like, you always think Dad's pushing back, Dad's been a bit hard, Dad's been a bit stern, all the rest. And I had flexibility to do whatever I wanted to do. Like, he wasn't hard in that way, but hard in terms of, I could go out and take 5 wickets in a cricket game or make the Victorian state side. And he's like, don't matter if you don't get in today, mate. And I'm like, what if I do get in? But it was always the hard, but
almost like integrity. You love that side of it, didn't you?
Yeah, he was tough. He was a tough critic. But that tough critic, as I said, when you're young, it doesn't taste like love. But now that I'm older and I work a lot with my dad, and my dad sits on the board of the charity, and we convene daily. There's probably not many days I don't ring my old man. And it's now where you can really appreciate those boundaries that he did put into place.
I get it now.
I do get it. Yeah. And it's really the parent that I hope that one day I can be as well, because he allowed me to hurt. He allowed me to feel. He was never someone who said, Matt, you're not allowed to. It was always like, here's what's going to happen if you do that. And he'll allow me to do it, allow me to feel, allow me to hurt, but he'd always be there to pick me up and help me to understand what went wrong, what could we do different.
Do you find that's rare in that generation of fathers? Just because I think about sort of my father, and a lot of it was bit of concrete and toughen up. The emotional connection with me and my father was not. I felt love.
Yeah.
I felt safe. in terms of like, you know, provider and security. He'll always sort of look after me. But we never had emotional connection whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it is rare. Look, I go around and do a lot of child development seminars and that at the moment, and I always speak about what Dad provided me. And as I said, it never felt really good when you're a kid because you don't understand it. But I think a lot of these days, like, the parents are trying to be the best friend rather than a parent. So, like, I really admired that my dad was a parent first, and now we can enjoy being best friends. Because I got a lot of lessons. Like, I've lost a lot of friends. I've been through a lot of different traumas and a lot of hurts that would floor a lot of people, and they did floor me at different times. But I sit in this chair and I often reflect, why am I still here? Why am I still capable? Why am I still doing things with all of this hurt? Or why am I guess, sometimes courageous enough to stay in it and play in it where other people run away? And that comes down to the way in which my dad parented me, because it was always like, as long as you're being honest with yourself, as long as you're being honest with us, I'll always have your back. So I was able to take risks. I was able to experience things, feel things without the need of, oh, is Dad going to yell at me? Am I going to get in trouble? Or
there's no fear.
And there was no shame. There was no embarrassment. It was always just like, you know, I got in a lot of trouble at school, but it would come home at the end of the day and I'd say, Dad, I stuffed up today. And he's just like, tell me about it. I'd tell him about it. It was never go to your room or never do that. It was just like, mate, you know better. Or he'd try and listen or reason with it. Same with when the teachers had troubles with me. He was happy to go march into the school and have that conversation, but he'd have my back as long as I was honest. And I think having that subconsciously in the back of my head through my upbringing enabled me to, as I said, take some risks, go for the things that I enjoy to go for, and live the way I did. Because I knew there was a safety net somewhere there that my dad would always have my back. And I think in a lot of households and from a lot of the people, especially my age that I talk to, they might not necessarily had that safety net to know, if I make this decision, I just go home tonight to a dad who loves me. I go home to a mum that loves me.
I was just going to ask you, is that what you sort of see in all the work that you're doing now, especially with youth? Do you find that's what you see a lot of?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. There's many different ways we could take this, but I feel like for a lot of them, we don't want our kids to hurt. We don't want them to have to go through things that have hurt us.
Any suffering or anything.
Whereas my dad was okay with me hurting because he knew, he'd always say to me, what's the learning? Or he'd debrief, where the learning's always in the debrief. But I think a lot of parents right now, they're trying to be that friend before they are the parent. Therefore, it's bubble wrap, it's mollycoddled, it's nurturing, it's supporting, it's making sure you make the right decisions, making sure you don't do the bad things. It's like you really have to let them feel all these things. You have to actually let your kids hurt. And unfortunately, you know, that's a really shitty thing to be able to sit and witness. But I just know that through all my reflection, all the work I've done myself, I put a lot of my resilience back on my dad. And the fact that I always, one, knew there was safety when I came home of a night. Two, I knew I was loved, not only through dad, but through mum. But I was also encouraged to be honest. And being honest doesn't necessarily mean be right or be perfect. And so I was encouraged to make mistakes, stuff up. And when I stuffed up, it was a learning, Matt. And it didn't mean I didn't make them again. It just meant we found the next learning in the next one.
I love that because it took away that urge to be perfect.
Yeah.
I know a lot of kids have that urge where I know a lot of like friends group growing up where, you know, if it wasn't an A+, it was a failure. You know, a lot of kids were just striving to be perfect all day, every day.
I never had that.
And yeah. But that's like, I feel like I felt a lot of people pleasing coming into my life. I was sort of insecure around the person that I am, always comparing myself to other people, and a lot of people pleasing came in. A lot of wearing masks, wearing disguises in terms of trying to fit in with people and try to get that external validation or that attention, or try to fit in with try to get girlfriends or try to be popular at school.
Timelines.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff that I was a chameleon in different situations, so I didn't know who I was.
And that's where we stuff up between fitting in and belonging. Like that fitting in, I've got to try to be something I'm not in order to be loved. Versus belonging, I can be whoever the hell I want to be.
And I'll still be accepted.
And I'm still going to be accepted.
Yeah.
So I always felt like I had that sense of belonging within my
early
upbringing and my family.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I guess, but to some regard, it's probably where a lot of things also went wrong, because you have this perfect upbringing with great parents and you're able to do whatever you want in the world, and you're encouraged to play all the sports, and whatever you touched, you were somewhat successful or good at. So when things start to go bad up here and you don't understand them, you can't comprehend them, you have no idea how to articulate it, talk about it because you don't get what it is, I started to question myself, like, you don't have any reason to whinge and complain here, Matt. You've got it so much better than everyone else. So I held on to a lot of that stuff.
Bottled it in. Yeah.
Even though the policy was home, was to be honest. But every time I remember throwing out little bits and pieces of honesty about how I felt in the only way I sort of knew how to articulate it back then, I know it was sort of met with a, not intentionally, but it was sort of met with a welcome to the real world sort of thing, like you're going to hurt.
Yeah.
And I just don't know whether it was my articulation of not saying how severe my thoughts were or if it was, you know, their misunderstanding of what all of this was.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
When did it all start to see sort of cracks in terms of your mental health? I know, you know, you sort of spoke about it then. When did you start to sort of feel, I know for myself, I remember I always kind of felt like an anxious kid growing up at school, especially in high school. I went into the army when I left school, and when I got out of the army, me and my 8 mates went to Canada on a boys trip. Best time ever, like just going skiing around and going to all these party towns. And I remember 8 of us were all drinking one night after a day on the slopes. And I remember, still to this day, I remember it like it was yesterday, that we were just drinking at this table, and all of a sudden I had this wave of sadness and shame and anger and like I come over me. Only lasted about 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden it just went away. And I was pretty drunk at that time. And it sobered me up so quickly. And I was thinking, what was that? And I kind of like tried to hide it from a couple of people like in that moment, and didn't say anything to anyone, and just was like, oh, that was weird, and sort of kept going. But that stuck in my mind that whole trip. And then when I came home, I remember telling Dad about it. And I think that was the first sort of crack that I saw that that I needed to address. I didn't, but I needed to address at that point in time. But I just played it off as a one-time thing. But obviously from that point on, it obviously went downhill pretty badly. Yeah, pretty quick actually. What about you? When was the first time you sort of…
About 16, 17, I started to feel things that I was unfamiliar with. And yeah, I look back now and I'm like, what was I worried about at 16? But yeah, 16, 17, I started to feel some things that were unfamiliar to myself. And it was probably only because I lost a mate to minor behavioural health challenges at 17 that I started to probe some questions around, shit, is that what I'm experiencing? And I was starting to really just put some pieces of the puzzle together. So I remember being in Chadstone Shopping Centre, and I think from my memory, we were shopping for a suit for the funeral. And I said to my mum, you know, is that what Jake would have been feeling? Is this what Jake… And I was just probing mum, but saying it in third person as if I was asking about Jake. Really, I was asking about myself. And mum was just giving me the answers that I really needed at that time. And I remember just feeling this instant bubble of like, I felt nauseous and sick immediately, because I was like, that reality that perhaps what Jake was going through was similar to what I was going through. And that's when I remember rushing to the bathroom, spewed in the shopping centre and come back out. And it was when maybe like 2 weeks later, I went and did what society said to do, and I accessed help. And went in and booked my own appointment and did all the rest. And that was…
At what age?
17.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that a big step for you?
Well, it was, because mum's a pharmacy assistant, so any script that goes across the counter in the town is seen by my mum. So here I was leaving a GP after one session with a diagnosis of depression and anxiety, severe sleep insomnia, and a script for sertraline. And so when I was like, all this to a 17-year-old kid, I'm like, what is all of this stuff? And I was like, well, mum's going to see this one way or another. So I remember just walking home, and mum goes, how'd you go? Because I told her that that's what I was doing. And I put the script on the bench, and mum being a pharmacy assistant, she picked it up and she said to me, is this necessary? And at the time I felt like that was a smack in the face, because I believed that the way that mum said it was that she wasn't taking what I was experiencing seriously. What I now know mum's articulation of that to be was, she's a pharmacy assistant, and she said, do you need this as a first response? Which is, she's right. And I really remember just kicking back off my mum that night, because I thought, they don't take this seriously. I've come home and I've got depression, anxiety because the doctor said I do.
This is a big deal.
And it was sort of like, is this necessary? And it's sort of not much was said, but, you know, I did what society told me to do. I went in, seen a GP, got the diagnosis, bounced out of there with no understanding for what it was or what this sertraline thing was, started to pump myself full of it like the doctor told me to do, and things went downhill quite real fast. So, yeah, it was 16, 17, 18 was started to get real tough, probably more 17 and 18. And then by 21, I'd moved away, suicidal, blaming everything on everyone else. believing that maybe if I bounced up to Queensland where it was a little bit warmer, you're experiencing that this week, if it was a bit warmer, the sun was a bit brighter, that maybe my life would change. And that was literally what I thought, that if I ran away from everything that ever caused me hurt and pain, that maybe I'd improve. So
did it?
Nah, shit, no. I mean, but there's again, it was my dad who I pulled him aside on a Sunday night and said, this is what I'm doing. I'm moving to Queensland. And I had always promised him that I'd finish my plowing apprenticeship. And I said, I'm going to Queensland. I'm going to get the job in the mines. It'll all be good. And he literally said to me on a Sunday night, after a discussion, if this is what you think will make you happy, let's do it. Not many parents would do that.
No.
It's pretty brazen of a dad to put his kid on a plane at 19 years of age, 20 years of age and say, see ya, knowing that he's diagnosed with depression, anxiety, sleep insomnia and has suicidal tendencies and thoughts. And that's what he did, because he always has been like that. Whatever we can do that'll help and you believe it'll help, let's do it. And again, it's I'm going to let you feel it out and make some mistakes, but I'll be here for it all. And he was the whole time. But yeah, it was easy to hide things from people you love when you're in Queensland, 2 states away. So that was a pretty low point in my life for 3 years there.
How did you get through that period of your life? Like, obviously moving away didn't help that. It followed you.
Yeah.
Just like me, I tried to take drugs and drink it away.
Well, that was me for the
was
next
it?
3 years.
Yeah.
So just self-medication, trying to find places where I belonged. I've always just felt misunderstood. And I think I still feel misunderstood. And I think anyone who experiences this stuff really does. Like,
does that bother you still?
I think so, only because that whole identity thing that I'm experiencing, like I am just a mental health guy and you're everything to everybody, but you're nothing to them at the same time. And, I'm just Matt who makes mistakes, says the wrong thing, has his opinions, is fiercely passionate, has heaps of energy.
Shakes the tree.
But it's, when everyone needs your help, they need your help. But when you say one thing that someone doesn't align with, you're the worst person in the world. And that's a very lonely place. No one's talking about how lonely the mental health space can be for an advocate who's trying to shake the trees and make a difference. And I think that, since speaking openly about it, I think there's many of advocates that have come forth and said to me, Matt, I'm just going through the exact same things. This journey's been rewarding, like hugely rewarding. And I'm not saying that it's not been worthwhile. It's been amazing. But it has been incredibly lonely to be everything to everyone and nothing to them at the same time. And that's that whole identity of he's the mental health guy. He's got to be there for me. But when he's not, he's nothing.
Do you find it hard, someone being there for you, even though, there's expectation or pressure or understanding that, he's an advocate, he'll have himself sorted.
That's one of the views. And then the other one is I know that a lot of people have shared this with me, that they're quite intimidated by having to be the support for me because they think they don't know what I know.
Yeah.
So they've found it very hard to be on the other end because they feel like, oh, I don't know what he knows. Like, what can I bring to the table that he doesn't already understand? So, and that's why I'm, hugely promote the idea of just holding space. I think a lot of men don't need answers. A lot of men don't need you to fix, heal and problem solve them. They'll do that themselves. What they need is someone to listen to them. And when we feel listened and heard and supported and safe, we'll walk away with some sort of reflection out of that conversation that helps us to move the needle in the right direction. Yeah. But if that person ain't there to hold the space and wants to keep throwing answers and solutions to your problems back at you, I don't know that it moves the needle in the right direction.
Is that how we be good to listeners, is not to over talk or try to add your opinions in, just let that person be seen and heard? Yeah,
100%. And the people that have really supportive and been the best in my life are those people who just hold a space that feels safe. Don't try and null and void it. They don't try and silence it. They don't try and go, Matt, you're overreacting. Or Matt, what about seeing them more? Don't give me any of that shit. I don't need that shit. I just need to be heard. Yeah, and when I'm heard, I can walk away and go, yep. I need to change that. You have your own reflection piece if you're self-aware enough. But a lot of the time you don't have that reflection because you've got someone trying to problem solve and fix you. We're not wired for that.
No, we're not. And it's no fault on that person either.
No, it's not.
They're just, because I remember myself being in those situations where I just want to help. Like if someone's going through it, I just want to have, all right, these are the solutions.
Yeah.
This is what we can do. Let's act on it straight away.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things that I've learned the last few years, and especially like doing the podcast too, is how to be a good listener.
Mm.
You know, a lot of the time they're not asking for your advice, Elliot.
No.
You need to shut up. You need to shut up.
We all do it because we care.
Yeah, we care. And that's something that I've really brought into my friendship groups, but also my relationship with my wife is a lot of the time, you know, what I've learned is, you know, women feel their way through things and men think their way through things. So Jordan will come to me with a problem about something. And I used to be like, all right, solutions, here we are, boom, boom, let's just do it. And she's like, no, let's think about it. And I'm like, we don't need to think about it. Like I've got it. But we do this thing now where I'll say to her, is this when I listen or is this when I fix a problem? And she goes, this is when you listen. And 9 times out of 10, it's always, you know, it's a listen. And I'm like, sweet. And I just sit there. I don't need to add my 2 cents. I don't need to say anything. I just got to let her be seen and heard.
Yeah.
And then she'll come up her own sort of ways or her own strategies to fix it.
Yeah. And I think that that's a powerful form of advocacy because the more people that understand what we're talking about right now, the more people that know, shit, I'm qualified to do this. I can go and hold a space.
Yeah.
I don't have to actually know
Have
everything that Matt does know. I don't need to be a mind and behavioural health expert. I can just come and be myself and know that they're coming to me because they feel comfort in me. So why do they feel comfort in me? I do this, this and this really well. So I'm just going to continue to do it. And I think that when we get to that point, we're going to have a lot of people in this country that know that they are qualified to offer people what they need to see, hear and feel in those moments.
When did the journey start? Well, we sort of spoke off camera a little bit, but when did the journey start with you and understanding yourself more in terms of your mental illness, in terms of, you know, bipolar? When did that sort of become a forefront in your mind?
The whole time in Queensland when I was self-medicating and doing a lot of the things that you shouldn't be doing in those times. Like, you know, it's so hard to articulate this in a way that doesn't say that it was a right thing to do, but I was in my head, I was thinking. And I was putting things together and I'm an all-in or all-out person. So when I decided through the right support that I got when I was taken off the street, I had a lot of time there where I reflected. I'm like, well, if I want to, I found myself biting down on my tongue a lot, just going, you know, finding myself getting really passionate about anything mental health. You'd see a Facebook status, you'd see something and you just get your back up about mental health or, you know, and that was a time where there was a lot of stigma. So it was normally I was getting my back up about someone shit canning mental health and picking on someone with an illness.
Yeah.
And I found myself getting really passionate. I'm like, well, you're feeling all these big emotions when someone talks about mental health. Why didn't you do something about it? But in order for me to do something about it, you've got to go out there and be the advocate that leads from the front. You've got to be living, breathing, walking billboard for this stuff. So that was really the turning point for me where I said, well, if you're going to play in this space, you better go out there and learn as much as you can about it. And by doing so, I was able to inherit that information for my own well-being, but also pick and choose what I advocated for. So, yeah, I'm obsessive compulsive in a lot of ways in terms of anything that I do. So, as I said, if I'm in, I'm in. And being in, I just become obsessive about what I learned. So, you know, I read citations, I read the dictionary, I've read all sorts of stuff just to try to better understand and articulate the things that I talk about. And I'm still doing it now. So, still studying, still doing whatever I can to learn more just so I can be better. Not only for the other people, but it also in turn is a beautiful thing that I get to help myself along the journey and still go through all the bumps and bruises and things and hurts that I did day one as I do now. It's just finding new means, new modalities, new ways to turn them into magic for me or for someone else.
What's sort of going back, what was your darkest moment? I know you said your turning point there. What was, how dark did it get for you?
I've tried to take my life multiple times. Very dark moments. I mean, I even talk about it like this year. This year has had some really, really dark moments, and I haven't had a year like this since I was at my lowest. And it's a different sort of low because it was I have dark thoughts often, but my thoughts are no longer my actions. But it's like even this year when things have gone a little bit AWOL and things have happened throughout this year that have left me feeling pretty hurt. Straight away, the mind goes to those dark places, and my mind can do it multiple times a day. As I said before, the key to it now is that I understand that my thoughts no longer have to become my actions. But, you know, I was bouncing off the street, gutter to gutter. I was homeless.
Were you really?
In Queensland, between Gladstone and Mackay in Queensland in 2011 or 12. So, 2012. So 2012, I found myself, bouncing from gutter to gutter, street to street. And in those moments, it was pretty dire. But again, luckily for me, I had some good people around me and good people in terms of the mates that I was hanging around with doing the wrong things. But also the family that I met in Queensland and how much they stuck by me and supported me through some really, really tough times, but also helped my parents back home to better understand that I was experiencing that because I wasn't one that was going to tell them. So the whole journey, the whole 2-3 years that I was in Queensland really battling, this family was ringing back home and making them aware that I was safe.
Giving them
updates, and I had no idea about all of this.
Really?
Yeah, it was something that they did, which coming back home to Victoria, and they encouraged me to go back to the people who'd always loved me, the people that I ran away from. By doing that, they were sort of up to speed about what had all happened. So it didn't have to be this big coming out party of, multiple suicide attempts and being homeless on the street.
Like, was it hard to sort of face the family?
Not really, because I was started to advocate things on social media. So I'd already started to tell the world about some of this stuff. I've always been really open and honest within, funnily enough, through the work that Dad did on me. But I started sharing a lot of my hurts and pains on social media when I decided that mental health advocacy was what I wanted to do. And by doing that, Mum, Dad and my brother and the rest of the family had a very good understanding of the things I'd experienced because a lot of it I'd put on social media in sharing some of my pain in hope that it reached someone else. So, yeah, it wasn't really difficult. I mean, those vulnerable conversations with my parents are just super easy now. As I said, I speak to my dad every day about the things that annoy me and get to me and beat me up, and he does some of that in return now, which is a beautiful thing.
I love that. Part of your healing journey, I know sort of from my point of view, a lot of my healing journey had to do with my self-love or the relationship I had with myself. Initially, it was terrible. A lot of my inner dialogue was a lot of negativity. The inner voice was not my best friend whatsoever for a long, long time. Probably until I hit 30. That the relationship I have with myself now is so different to what it was. What do you think was the key point in your sort of healing journey? Was it a lot of it was the relationship you had with yourself?
Yeah, I think connection to others first. But I also think like that family that took me off the street, they housed me, they supported me. It was like one of the first times in many years that I felt like, I can just be me, and that was where I sort of understood that fitting in, belonging, connection piece. Where I was around people who loved me for me. And it sort of almost felt like I was back around my dad because it was like I could just be whoever I wanted to be, do whatever I want to do, and I wasn't being judged for it. But it was almost to the next level. Like Aurora Alexander for me, who's someone I came home with, and she was the lady who took me off the street and housed me in her house. I'd come home of a night and I'd done something wrong or in trouble with the law, and she would have a joke about it and she'd laugh about it. And it was just there where I was just like, you know what? This lady truly loves me for who I am and I can do no wrong. And that's not like, how can I push the boundaries of this relationship?
Take advantage of it or anything like that.
It was just like, she was just there for me and it was proper support. And that proper support was not just there to have a beer with me or there to talk to me. It was also there telling me some really insightful things that helped me feel connected, but also started the reflection process for me. She was the one that really encouraged me to move back home to the people who would always love me that I ran away from. So all of these things were really, really helpful for me. And then, as I said, being an all-in or all-out person, learning more about the mind, learning more about behaviour, learning why I felt the way I did, but also that self-acceptance piece of going, you know what, I diagnosed with depression and anxiety at the age of 17, sleep insomnia. I had a fair understanding of all of that stuff, but I always knew that it wasn't that. I always knew that there was something that I was living with that nobody had spoken about yet. And it was a scary thing because the world's probably still not ready to talk about bipolar disorder if we're honest about it. Like some people are, it's great. But we've finally come to terms with depression, anxiety and all the rest. The next step will be talking about these other diagnoses. So, having the diagnosis of bipolar, I was sort of walking in and accessing the diagnosis for that. I could already tell them that that's what I had because I was working in the space and doing a lot of thorough work around it. I felt like I almost knew it better than they did when they were diagnosing me, but it was a long process. It was, 30 psychiatrists before I found one that made me feel comfort, who finally, allowed me to have the blood tests and the brain scans and do it properly. And I didn't necessarily need it for any other reason than to just give me that confirmation that I knew that it wasn't depression. It was the mania. The mania was really hard, and that's what no one was talking about. Trying to give me mood stabilizers for depression. Here I was bouncing off the walls. And when you're bouncing off the walls, you lose that sense of belonging to people again because you're too much. You're too full on. You talk too much. All of these sorts of things. So to navigate something that nobody's talking about was really, really tough. And I still go through it now where I just have to come up with the modalities. I have to come up with the practices that help me to navigate and regulate in a way that supports me rather than leaning on the people around me to something that they're not familiar with just yet. It's not their fault.
So how does it look for you day to day?
It's pretty thorough.
Is it?
Yeah, it is a pretty thorough wellness plan. I mean, some days it's more thorough than others purely because of just depends what I'm experiencing. But I'm very fortunate. I'm in a relationship with my partner who's very, very disciplined in her wellness plan as well. And she gets up and we go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. There's probably about 2.5 hours of wellness before I go to work. I go to work at 7:30, 7:45. I'm up at 5, 2.5 hours. There's exercise in there. There's gratitude. There's reflection. There's breath work. There's cold showers. It's all pretty thorough before the day starts, just so if there's anything that happens throughout the day, I feel like I'm in a better position to navigate it. And then throughout the day, there's different modalities and practices that I'm putting in place, but it's just that constant reflection of anything that I'm experiencing, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. And at every day, it's acknowledging that every emotion is an action signal for change. So as it comes up and I feel it, it's like, why do I feel like this? Where was I? Who was I around? What can I do with it next? And if I feel like I'm not doing that constant practice, then that bucket's going to be full. There's 1,440 minutes in a day, 50,000, 70,000 thoughts. It's a hell of a lot. At some stage, the bucket needs to be emptied. But I feel like if I'm constantly emptying that bucket and navigating some of these feelings, then it's not going to pile up the way it used to or the way I used to allow it to.
And that's the secret I find. Like I chat to sort of a lot of people about it and they're sort of more focused on not having the thoughts altogether. But I kind of feel like the secret is it's okay to have the thoughts. Just have your checklist that you need to sort of manage those thoughts as they come in and out. Because like I've got my own checklist at the moment now with Jordan that I used to let these sort of episodes that would come over me would last days, and I'd just be a prick of a person to be around for days. And after, 3 or 4 days of me being in this, state, I'd sort of come back to being me again. And right now I'm at a point now where when I feel like, it's coming up, like you talked about having that awareness that you can sort of tell when these spots are going to come up. I'll wake up in the morning and go, oh, fuck, this is going to be a shit day. Like I already know. I'm like, fuck, it's going to be a shit day. I go, no, we're not going to be like this. What can we do? So Jordan's like, have you done this exercise? Have you, sauna and cold plunges? Have you done your breath work? Have you gone to the beach and gone into nature and connected with nature? Have you sort of connected with your friends and your family? As soon as I go through all those checklists, it might take me a couple of hours, might take me half of the day.
In a better position.
I'm in a better position. I don't let it consume my whole day. I won't let sort of one bad moment turn into 3 bad days.
Yeah. Well, for me, work was always the thing that helped me a lot on my journey. Like being at the charity and running the organisation and feeling like I was giving back and contributing to the world always made me feel good. It was my safe place. But then as I've got older, as I said, my whole identity is built around this thing where it becomes unhealthy. It's just like, okay, maybe you were doing, it's like any addiction. It's like you're doing this thing to run away from what's at home.
Yeah, the distraction.
But now that I've got a really good home life, my home feels good. Now it's work that makes me feel uneasy. So again, my partner's been really good and I guess as I get older, the more importance there is on me for rest. Like rest wasn't something in my vocab. I'm just go because that's how my brain works. But when I now, like I wake up in the morning and if I roll over and hit the alarm and I say to Tours, like, I'm not going to the gym today. But her instead of in the past, it might have been someone going, no, you need to go to the gym. It's if you think you need rest, let's rest. And we're both in. And it's a nice place to be where rest is in the same bracket as go on the gym or do practicing gratitude or cold showers. And rest has been something I've always lacked.
Me too. I've always felt guilty for resting, always. Even to this day, where I'll have a day off, nothing planned, and Jordan's like, let's just chill. And I'm like, nah, I got to do this. She's like,
I'm no good at it.
What's your body like? I'm like, it's so sore, but I've got to go do something. She's like, you don't have to go do something. Like, I always felt guilty. If I was sitting and resting, I've got to be doing something on the podcast. Like, we were on a honeymoon, and I made sure that I had enough episodes and content lined up. So when I went on the honeymoon for, 4 weeks.
You could enjoy it.
I can enjoy it. I don't have to do anything with the podcast. Well, what were we doing on the beach? I had my phone out doing podcast research, all that sort of stuff. And it's something that I'm really passionate about and it's something that I really love. But at the same time, there was that negative side of it was I felt guilty for resting. Like I should be doing something else, or almost like I don't deserve to be here.
I think that's the key word there is for me is deserve. Like I felt like I was put on this planet to do the work that I've been doing for 15 years. But however, if I sit down and there's a good movie on, I'm like, oh, yep, you've made a good decision, and I'll rest back into it. Then I'm like, nah, and I got to keep going. And it's just like proud has never been a word that I've ever been able to associate with or feel. And that deserve, it's just like I'm sitting down. I've lost these mates. They're not here. I should be up and doing something about this. There's people out there hurting. There's things that need to be done. I still struggle with it. I do. But I think being in the relationship I'm currently in has enabled me to prioritize rest a little bit more. And the older I get and the more my values or my priorities change in my life and that stage that I'm at, it's just like where, that flexibility and that freedom's really, really important to me. Even in the way I pick who I work with now and who I, speak for, build out wellbeing strategies for. It's just like now I pick and choose. Speaking gigs, I hand them off to people in my stable rather than do them because everything has to be in alignment with me now, whereas I might have used to, who can I help today?
Say yes to everyone. Yes, same.
And it was great. But it's for me now, it's more important than ever that I look after this thing because, as I said, that change that I'm experiencing and that trying to get out of that identity of being just only good for that is a part of that, being able to sit on the couch and being proud of the work you've done, but sitting on the couch and going, you know what, I deserve this break and I'm going to have it. Yeah,
getting real dialed in on your sort of priorities in life.
Yeah. 100%. When your values align with your behaviours, life satisfaction's there. And I think for a long time, my values are always around self-determination, empathy, support, loyalty. And it's just like, hang on a minute, all of these values that you live in let's look after the world. Not many of them there are about looking after Matt.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where it's had to shift. So, yeah.
That's probably something that I've really had to learn the last couple of years was to put myself first. Right. And I've always felt really, like we said, a lot of guilt around putting myself first. I've always put everyone else first and I'm always last. And I can't remember what we were watching, but Jordan and I were watching something on TV and I asked her the question, do you feel like I put you first? Because I feel like internally that I put so much effort into going to work, coming back from work, doing the podcast, traveling, recording, that sometimes I'm in the shower and I'm thinking, fuck, I haven't even asked Jordan like how her day's been. Like I kind of like feel like I'd neglect her a little bit.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I was like, do you feel like I put you first? And she paused and she said, yeah, after yourself. and I was like,
gotcha.
I was like, shit. And I didn't say anything, but she could tell the look on my face that I was like, oh, I fucked up here. She goes, no, it's okay. I go, what do you mean? She goes, It's okay that it's like that. Like, I feel like you put me first after yourself. You need to look after yourself. You need to have those checklists.
Yeah.
You need to be the best version of yourself because I've seen you at your worst where you put everyone else before yourself.
Which is a very different conversation for her to say, I'm second and you don't care about me.
Yes.
She didn't say the second.
I thought.
And that's what we often hear.
Yeah, that's what I heard that straight away. I went,
we will gravitate towards the negative.
And she corrected me. She goes, no. I need you to be the best version of yourself. And the best version of yourself is doing those checklists every single morning or when you're feeling it, go do that thing, whatever it is, because that means I get the best version of you. And it's going to help the relationship. It's going to be, you're going to be a better husband, father, I'm not father yet, son, friend, everything like that. And I was like, oh, right. She goes, don't feel guilty for it. Like, you don't need to sacrifice things that, fill your cup up just to please me.
Yeah.
I get the benefit of it because it's the best version of you. And I was like, oh, righto then.
Yeah, we gravitate easily towards the thing that we're not doing, but it was never said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You spoke about before and you've sort of spoken about publicly the friends that you've lost to mental illness.
Yeah.
You've got so many motivators for the work that you're doing now. Has, losing friends and people close to you, added so much motivation and drive for you to want change?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, everything that I do is associated with the loss of those 13 mates to mind and behavioural health challenges. And I think, the thing that hurts me the most and that I constantly hear from families that have lost someone that are bereaved by suicide is, they always say to me when I'm done a speaking gig or whatever it is, and they'll contact me and they're like, Matt, it feels as if you're the only one who still talks their name. You're the only one who still lives honours their life. And that beats you up because they're right. When we lose these people, we forget about them really quickly. And that hurts your heart because that was very easily myself. That could have easily been me. And it's just like all is lost. And these families must be absolutely gutted to have to feel that. And so for me to go, I find my motivation in making sure that I continue to honour the lives of these beautiful people that have played really small or really enormous parts in my journey. And across this journey, I can sit and complain about all the things that are currently going wrong or have gone wrong, but I can't do that if I'm not willing to also appreciate the things that have gone right. And being a part of these 13 people's lives in different ways and means has been an enormous part that I'm extremely grateful for. And so I think it's been part of the healing process as well. Like when I do this work, I can speak 1,500 times in a row without getting upset. And then that one time it'll smack me for 6. And that's just part of the grieving process. But it's a part of, I never ever forget my why. And on those days that it's tough and I don't want to get out of bed and things are going wrong for me, I just remember that, shut up, Matt, it ain't about you today, it's about them. And it quickly gets my wheels turning again. And I don't necessarily think it's just the mates that I've lost. I still look at a lot of people in my community or that I know right now that are hurting immensely and I'm still waiting for that bad phone call. And I literally think like that because I just know that that's what my world has always looked like. I know that there's a bad knock on the door. I know that there's a phone call coming. So what can I do now to hopefully impact that in a way that it doesn't have to happen? And that's, I guess, the part of that struggle that I have to sit still because it's just like I'm just worried about the next because it's been so consistent. I mean, like 13 mates is a lot. I've been at 3 funerals in the last month, so it's just for different reasons. But it's just like there's so much more work to be done out there, and how much longer can I continue to do it? So while I can, let's boogie.
That's the thing. It's like what I've learned is, what I did was I was very reactive around my mental health. I waited for things to get to rock bottom where I didn't want to be anymore for me to actually understand like things need to change. So what I sort of chat to my friends about is being proactive around our mental health. Let's not wait for it to get to that rock bottom. What can we do in the meantime? And you don't even have to, I always thought going to a therapist, you always had something wrong to go to a therapist.
No.
But I go to, even if life's good, even if everything's going well, I still go to a therapist and have a chat and be a bit more proactive around it.
My mentor says to me all the time, she's like, Matt, you're a sicko for growth. You're a sicko for it.
Oh.
I'll find the next thing and I'm like, I'm going to go pay for this and do this. I guess I am. I just love the idea that they can pull something out of me that I haven't yet tapped into. And even at the moment, it's like going through a lot of hurt. It's like, well, beauty, something good's going to come of this if you lean into it rather than pull back off it. So, yeah, I feel like I'm always motivated to do this work. I don't like motivation at all, but it's just, as I said, making sure at the moment that what I'm doing is playing in the right spaces that looks after me. I am worried about the way this world's heading and trending for our kids and for the people in our communities. And so it's just like, there's plenty of work to be done. And I feel like I'm very blessed to have a platform to be able to do that.
Well, let's talk about that because it's a conversation that Jordan and I have a fair bit. We're trying for kids at the moment, and a lot of our content that we consume, a lot of conversations we have is how to be good parents. How do we want to parent our kids? And we're not terrified of the way that the world's going, but we are very
consciously aware of that.
Absolutely. And we've talked about sort of homeschooling kids and like
if we could, we would.
This episode is brought to you by TLC Recovery Centre on the Sunshine Coast. Head to TLC Sunshine Coast, use the code TLC15MYH to receive 15% off and experience it for yourself. Do you feel like it's so quick for, doctors, GPs, specialists just to
100%.
Take this, make you feel better? Because I got put on antidepressants and the type that I was on, it made my bipolar worse. And I saw a specialist and they said, you should not be on that because it makes it worse. And I go, well, why do I get even that?
There's lots of information about that in there. And what I shared in that book, and that was 4 years ago now, that's flown, but what I shared in that book was stuff that they didn't want out because it was only very new out. But look, I don't want to sit here and shit can medication and pharmaceuticals by any means. But there is a lot of there's a lot of evidence and a lot of education out there right now around placebo. There's a lot of education and information about the impacts of the first 90 days. There's a lot of evidence around that it should be a last resort, not a first resort. We're doing all of that wrong. Like we aren't telling people about the first 90 days. We aren't telling people that it creates an abnormality in your brain that believes that you actually have a mental illness, which is what I think it did to me. I don't think I had it. but it creates that abnormality beliefs that I did. Nobody's talking about the placebo. So that's definitely where America could improve. And I think we're getting better at it here in Australia because we are more holistic now. We are more strength-based. And I think the more people that understand that, as I said, it's not about saying no medication. It's about saying just be consciously aware about what you're putting into your system, but also know that you need a holistic and strength-based approach to support anything you put in your body. You have to be doing the work. So that's what you want people to know. And I think it's a really healthy message too, because it helps people understand that the wellness is in my hands. And depending on how I spend my time today will depend on how good my day is.
Exactly.
And that's what nobody's saying. So it's the same for being a good listener. It's the same for the importance of what I do with my day. It's really down to choice and how we spend our time, where we put our energy, and all of those environmental factors. And those are the things that were clearly lacking for me. There was a disconnect between loved, seen, heard, valued, and understood. One disconnect between there, you're going to start to see mental health challenges. But we're not looking at that because we're looking at, I'm struggling, I need.
Yes.
And that's where I'd like to reframe that for a lot of people so that they can understand that, hey, whatever you're going through, see it as an opportunity for growth or an opportunity for connection and an opportunity for learning.
That's incredible because that's what I've really found the difference of those 5 things there is that if one of those is missing.
It's only one.
You only need one.
Yeah, well, they're the emotional needs of a human being. Loved, seen, heard, valued, and understood. Now, there's other words from that people use. They're the 5 words that I use. When there's a disconnect between one, only one. So it might be, I was on the street homeless. People walk past me every single day. Did I feel loved? Yep. Was I seen? Yeah, I was seen. Was I heard? No. And if I wasn't heard, well, it's impossible to be valued and understood. So all of a sudden I got 3 disconnects. But it only takes one disconnect for us to start to experience mental health challenges. And if we let that go for a period of 1 week, 2 weeks, then you're going to start to see a real heavy onset of that. So it's about making sure that whenever we notice that in our mates, if I go, okay, Elliot, I know that Elliot at the moment is expressing some different things around not feeling loved. Well, here's my opportunity as a mate to go, I can provide that.
Yeah.
But that's where we start we're overcomplicating it. That just simplifies it. We can all help each other because we can all provide those 5 things in spades.
Is that something that you're saying is like one of the key attributes? Because you do a lot of work with not just young people in today's society, but with everyone. Is that something you see a lot of people are struggling with?
Yeah, because I'll get a lot of people that sit in front of me and I'll explain it in those simple terms and they're like, no. I'm like, let's pause, let's wait. Name a situation in your life where you've noticed you've been really down and out. Yep, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Were you loved? Yeah. Seen? There it is. It's like, shit, he's right. It is right because this is all evidence-based and informed. So it really is. There will be a disconnect between one of those 5 things. And when there's a disconnect, then we start to maybe go back to bad habits. Maybe we start to sit up here a little bit more than we used to. Maybe withdraw, maybe we isolate, and then all of the rest steamrolls on.
Yeah, snowballs on.
Which is definitely did to me.
What I'd love to get your opinion on social media in today's society.
Very topical at the moment.
Yeah, I deleted it when I was going through my mental health struggles. I got rid of it. I got stuck in that comparison mode.
Yeah.
The judgment, all that sort of thing. All I wanted was likes to make myself feel better. And I was like, nah, no more. This is, I'm not getting on this anymore. And it wasn't until I got this podcast.
We need it back.
I needed it back 18 months ago. And I was like, and my wife now, and she's just like, how are you going to go with it? I was like, I don't know, but we'll see. And to be honest with you, it's been a real struggle. Like how do I put it? I was, it was a roller coaster ride because I was living for the highs and dying by the lows. So in terms of people would say, Elliot, I love that episode. It was great. I go, fuck yeah, how good's that?
Now you're chasing it.
Yeah. But then
it's an addiction.
Yes.
In a different form.
Different form. And then that same episode, someone would say, Elliot, that was shit. And I'll go, oh, it was shit. I've got to change myself because it was someone hated it. So I was just like going up and down and just living what everyone was saying.
Listening to all the outsiders.
To everything. So what I had to learn to do was not only cut out the bad, but I actually had to cut out the good. Not sort of say it didn't happen or appreciate the love and the support that I'm getting, but I couldn't let it influence myself, my identity, my self-worth, like how I viewed myself in this, because it's obviously a very personal thing.
Yeah.
we are both, being very vulnerable in these situations and sharing stories and a part of ourselves that are getting listened and watched by a lot of people. So it was very personal. And I really struggled. And it's something I'm sort of getting my head around now.
Yours is going to be different to mine. Like when I started to grow a profile and a platform and doing my thing, then like I really don't even post very often. I mean, I'm post more about my sports teams winning and shit like that. I don't really need to anymore. So it's a little bit different. I'm very blessed because I've always said as soon as I'm out of this work, I'm off social media as well.
Yeah.
My social media, I'm pretty sure I don't even follow my mum and my dad and the people around me. I follow sports page. I don't follow anything because I don't need to see. Yeah. And that just enabled me to make sure that if I didn't follow Elliot, it meant next time I seen him, I had heaps of conversation.
Exactly.
Because I had to find out.
Yeah.
Which it was just the same when I build a keynote. It's the same when I design a strategy. It's the same for social media. For me, it's just like, okay, I'm running a podcast. What's the outcome of this podcast? What are the 3 outcomes? What's the overall arching thing that I want to achieve with this podcast? A, B, and C. So here's my lead measures. How am I going to get them? And then it sort of simplifies the need to hear external things because it's just like, that's not part of A, B, and C.
Yeah.
A, B, I created this podcast to bring insights to people's lives. Have I achieved that this week? Yes, I can see I have. B, I was to reach X amount of people. Have I done that? Yes. Yeah. All of a sudden, it's just like, well, external voices and narratives and people's opinions wasn't part of the deal when I signed up to do the podcast. Therefore, out. Yeah. So for me, I feel like social media obviously it's a great platform if you use it for the right reasons. But I put a lot of time and effort into removing everything that I didn't need to see, which enabled me to have better conversations. But then also, like, I'm in a very blessed position at the moment where I don't need social media really for what I'm trying to do. Maybe if I go back out on my own, I'm going to have to start again, which I'll be in that situation. But for me, it doesn't play much of a bearing on my life. I use formerly Twitter, X, for what I need to see, hear, and feel. I'm not on TikTok because, as we spoke before, I just feel like I just got shit canned on there all the time. LinkedIn is very intimidating because it's a lot of experts, but it's where I do a lot of my learning. And Instagram I use to only, provide some insights or what I'm up to in terms of work. So just use it for the right reasons.
What's your view on the ban that's come in for the 16-year-olds?
Look, I try not to get involved in it.
Okay, move on to the next question.
But look, we've got to give kids autonomy.
Yeah.
That's where autonomy is important to the kid. So I don't necessarily it's about the ban or not about the ban. It's by what are we doing outside of the ban? Are we supporting our kids to make good choices? Are we supporting them if they make bad ones?
Yeah.
Are we in the game? And that being, do we know what they are absorbing? That sort of stuff. And then, as I say to any parent who's on a device or got their kids on a device, understand their association to it. So if your kid's playing a game and he loves it, or he's on social media and he loves it and he's got an addiction to TikTok, what is it that they're watching? What is it they feel when they watch it? And have that conversation with your kid. Is it achievement? Is it independence? Is it connection? Is it fun? Because if your kid's addicted to that device because of those 4 things, you better start providing those 4 things if you want to take the device off them.
100%.
So there's something missing in their life. So for me, it's very simple.
It almost forces the parents to be present more with the kids, and the kids model what they see. So if even though you might be working or providing for the family, but if all the kid sees is you on your phone, regardless of your intentions with it, all they're going to see is
same thing.
Same thing. They must be playing on the phone.
Yeah, you've got to role model healthy.
Exactly.
And if you want to set up consequences and agreements in your household, they have to be met by all parties. They can't be, it's my house, respect your elders sort of narrative. That don't fly.
Yeah.
If you want a boundary to hold up, or an agreement to hold up, you all got to be in. And when we do that and we come together as a family and make set agreements together, I think that's when they hold up the best.
So no social media for our future kids.
As long as they're using it for the right reasons.
Jordan used to work part-time at this marketing company, and we got taken out for dinner for Christmas last year by the 2 owners, and it was like a 7:30 booking, and they brought their 2 young kids. So it would have been maybe 8 and maybe 6 and 8, I think. And I was thinking, this is pretty late for these 2 kids. I wonder how they're going to fare. They sat at the table with us. They brought a little suitcase full of puzzles and
legends,
colouring in things.
It can be done.
And they sat there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Didn't say a word, didn't play out. They sat there and just colouring. And then I finished that one. Oh, yeah, grab this one.
It's just consistently role model good behaviours.
Yes.
But there's also got to be some leeway for parents who like, you know what, I am stressed out here. Here's half the iPad. It's just we just got to be aware of how much we're doing that and what the
Yeah.
message is when we do that.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, can I push mum and dad's buttons to the moment that they need tap out?
They
Then I
tap
get what I
out.
need.
Because I asked the parents, I was like, oh, that's amazing that you guys do that. Because in
is
today's
great.
society, it's, not that it's frowned upon or anything like that. I'm not judging any parent that, parenting's difficult.
Very.
I was like, how did you guys do that?
Yeah.
And then they said, we just, from the very start, we just, we didn't budge. We did not budge from the very start. Consistency. We gave them other playful options that they wanted to, learning, crosswords.
Those kids will be getting the independence, the connection, the sense of achievement, the fun out of other items.
And then it got to about 9 o'clock and you could see the kids starting to get a little bit wide. And he reached for his dad's iPhone and I was like, oh, what's he? And he goes, oh, yeah, so we do have, they're allowed to have screen time. It's only 1 hour of screen time, but the screen time is only educational stuff, what you just mentioned before.
He's in the game.
I go, what's his thing? He thinks Steve Irwin. So he thinks animals. So all he learns about is animals. For the next 20 minutes, he was telling me about different snakes and the difference between venomous and poisonous. And he's 6 years old.
Zero harm. He's going to be the next Steve Irwin.
So I think that's, Jordan and I looked at each other and we said, that's it. Like, that's a benchmark. That's amazing to see. It can be done, absolutely. Yeah.
But it also, what nobody's talking about is it can be done if you're looking after your own well-being. Because why do we often give them what they need? Because we don't have capacity of ourselves.
Yep.
So we're busy, we're stressed, we're overworked, we're overwhelmed. So it's just like, go back to the number one, fill the cup up, and then we'll be a better parent. I'm not saying it's easy, and we've acknowledged that's definitely not.
And I don't have kids, so it's very easy for me to.
I've played the role before, and so I have an understanding of what that looks and feels like. But it's not an easy task. But look, it can be done. And if it is feeling overwhelming or too hard, then that's an action signal for some change.
Well, what do you find is the most misconception about people that are dealing with mental illness?
I think there's a lot of misconceptions, but I think it always goes back to those 5 things we were talking about before. That's the misconception. That I believe sometimes we overcomplicate it. Yeah. That's a misconception for me, is that it's just like, oh, it's too hard, or my life's going to be this.
I'm broken forever.
No. We can be whatever you want to be. And look, I've always said for years now, like, my bipolar disorder, you can't have it. You are not getting it. It is mine. Like, because I've come to that understanding that this is who I am and it isn't going anywhere. Therefore, they've only got one way to deal with this thing, and that's to learn to love it and dance with it and create magic with it, rather than kick back, suppress, marginalise it and remove it. So the misconception for me of those living with mental illness is that misconception that you can't. You definitely can, and you can do whatever you want. And all of your pain, your setbacks, your challenges, your adversity, the overwhelm, the stress, that's what makes you you. So don't fall into love with the walk of other people's life. Fall into love with the walk of your life, and appreciate all of the life miles and the bruises and the setbacks. Because, as I said, that's where the growth comes from. Some mornings I literally get up and go, "What do you got for me today? Give it to me.
Really?
Give it to me." Because it's just like life's getting a bit mundane. So it's just like,
I need a challenge. I need a test.
Because you just know that something's good on the other side.
Yeah.
So you can. And as I said, like, for years and years, I kicked back off bipolar disorder, saying you can't have it. Like, I mean, I don't want it. This thing sucks. Why me? All this entitlement shit. And now I sit back and go, I truly believe that it's my gift. And people might think that that's a silly thing to say, but if you get to the place of wellness that I believe that I live in, then you too can feel like whatever you live with is a gift. And that's seriously the only way to think about it, because guess what? It ain't going anywhere. So you may as well get along with it, nurture it, love it, and dance with it, create magic with it, rather than kick back, suppress it, and feel like shit.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned, is to accept it. I used to pretend like it wasn't there. I used to try to shoo it away, and it would never go away. And I had to really learn to embrace it, almost fall in love with it, fall in love with the parts of me that I used to hate.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm right now still going through, it's daily. It's not as if it goes anywhere, but daily. Like, at the moment, I'm sitting there going, why do I do this? Why do I behave like that? Why can't I just go and do that instead of this? And it's just like, you know what, Matt? You can sit and whinge about it, mate, or you can go and try and find out why. And I know that by finding out why of these challenges I'm facing at the moment, there's some bit of magic's going to happen up ahead.
We're just going to talk about your book quickly, if that's all right.
It's an old one now.
But it's an old one.
It's old. 4 years, I said the other day.
Nobody Can Save Me. What motivated you to write a book? How was the process like? How was it all?
I wasn't motivated at all to write a book. I had no interest in it. For many years.
Can we get that in there? Yeah, we can get that in there.
For many years, had a couple of publishers that wanted to get the book. This was pre-COVID, and I had no interest in writing a book.
Yeah.
And probably also because I felt like, who the hell would read my book? And then it was during COVID where I was sort of like, we were stuck a little bit here in Melbourne, and we couldn't really do the things that I was doing. So I had to turn and pivot, and I spoke to one of the publishing houses that I was a really big fan of in Dean Publishing, and they were fantastic throughout the whole journey. One thing that I think the misconception is that you've got to actually write a book to write a book. That's definitely not how it worked for me. I'm a speaker, so I was fortunate. I didn't go with anything. I just met with them, and they have a fantastic team out in the Macedon Ranges who work from start to finish. And as they said, it's like birthing a baby. It was a 9 to 12. Well, it's a 9-month process, 9 to 12-month process. It was for my book. Where I worked with, several editors and their whole team, and just started to piece together what it would look and feel like. And there was no game plan as to how it was going to look, which I loved, because they're like, oh, we want your story. And I was like, no, it's not about my story. It's about what I can give people back. So the book was not in chapters. The book's in 4 parts. So it gives part 3 or part 4 in that book is my blueprint to wellness, which is all the things 4 years ago that I was doing to look after my well-being, which essentially made me feel better when it was all said and done, because I could put it on the shelves and it could sell. And I knew that it was a tangible resource that people could have that would help them. And the fact that it's somehow still selling 4 years later is a blessing.
Testament to you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit embarrassed because what I know now is completely different to what's in there. But
how so?
I've just grown a lot in those last 4 years. So the skills and tools that I would have been doing there are completely different to the skills and tools I have now.
We're always evolving, aren't we?
Well, I won't go writing another book though.
That's what I was going to ask you.
No, I don't think I could.
You don't
it was
reckon?
a cathartic experience, but it definitely punched me around a lot, because I was when you met with a team of editors who don't know who you are, the questions and the probing and all of that to put it together in the book that it is was a great experience. But I was also reliving a lot of the things that I'd actually never considered that would be in a book. And then obviously the process of putting it out on the shelf, there was this emotional vulnerability of going, shit, I can't take that back now. And now it's 4 years old. I'm like, oh shit, I wonder what's in there that I don't want in there now that things have moved.
We can't edit it.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is,
it's somehow people are still buying it, which is
Mate, it's incredible.
hopefully great for them.
You also run retreats, is that right? And workshops and programs?
Yes, built a lot of programs out. We've got a primary school program that's on the Victorian mental health menu called Healthy Hearts and Light Minds. Work with kids about their emotional literacy and awareness and how to hold space and regulate and all the beautiful things.
What's it like working with the young people?
Awesome.
Is it?
It's
you
awesome.
love it?
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. I watched the film Inside Out, the Disney Pixar film in 2012 or whatever it was in America on a speaking tour. And I was in a manic episode when I left the film. Cinema, I was on a 48-day speaking tour, and I got out of the theatre and I just said, shit, that's a really good film. I reckon we should build a program off the back of that film. And so in a manic episode where you feel like you're invincible, I rang Disney Pixar that afternoon and asked for the copyrights to the film. And they gave me the copyrights to the film for 12 months as long as I didn't profit from the film, off their characters and things. So in the manic episode, I sat down, and maybe about 6 hours later, I built a program called Healthy Hearts and Lighter Minds that we piloted in schools, and then it went through Melbourne University, Australian National University Social Outcomes Lab, and only started this year, it became an evidence-based program that's on the mental health menu. So it goes through 5 phases from kids from prep all the way through to their end of their primary school years with curriculum and learning sheets and all the rest of it. They learn about the same characters in Inside Out and then the new characters from Inside Out too.
That's sick.
So it's pretty cool. But yeah, do retreats and all the rest of it.
Mania is almost like your superpower.
100% it is.
You find it is? Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Because
you feel like you're so, like from my point of view, looking in, it feels like you're so productive, creative, resourceful, determined.
Still got plenty of flaws, mate.
Well, I didn't name any of them.
Yeah, no, it definitely is my superpower.
It is,
100%. But you've also got to reel that in at some points too. But yeah, building the program was fun. Our facilitators are world class. So watching them do it now, where I sit back and I don't necessarily facilitate it, but I get to watch them is one of the proudest moments. Seeing these kids have what I believe is one of their best days of school, learning about mental health, and they have no idea they've just learned about mental health. And I'm just knowing that I won't necessarily get to see the end results of that, but I know that kids will be in a far better shape than I was, not knowing what I didn't know. And so that's a very beautiful thing. And yes, I feel very blessed that it's supported by the Victorian government and in schools, and love that all the schools back it. But yeah, very blessed to have created that.
What is, because you're obviously so heavily involved in it, what is your vantage point in terms of the mental health crisis within our youth community? I'm asking that just because you see a lot of young people, taking their lives, whether it's bullying, online bullying, things that are struggling with at school. What could be done more? Obviously, what you're doing is incredible work.
Bespoke. Get on the ground and actually understand what the kids are experiencing before we go and build a program that takes 3 years to build, evaluate, and get on the shelf, and then it's a cookie cutter approach. Bespoke and deliver things to outcomes that address these things, but do it in a fun and engaging and relatable way. I work with some great people and great facilitators in this space. And like I look at Youth Engagement Project. They're a great organisation that teach people actually how to facilitate content. You can have the best program in the world. You can have the best workshop in the world for these kids. But if you don't deliver it in a way that's fun and engaging, you don't even worry about it.
You've lost them already.
You've lost them. So I think that that's a big thing we can do better with. And I think it's why Mindfull Aus has always done well, is because we have fantastic facilitators and engaging speakers and things like that connect to the heart, deliver to outcomes. I think that's a big one. What else can we be doing? As I said, it comes down to connection and being on the ground with them and better understanding them, not building things from a nice, sexy office where we have no connection to these kids and what they're experiencing. But get up to date with the latest data and evidence and things that are going on in our world. As I said, we're very reactive in this country to how we treat these things.
We are, aren't we?
Very reactive. Yeah. We're so far behind. It's like talking about breath work and cold showers maybe 10 years ago, and now people are like, wow. It's just like we could have been doing that years ago if we all listened. But it's when you're ready, I get that. But
is it the Australian way, do you feel like?
Very reactive.
Yeah, very reactive.
Yeah, it's not like that in America. No. Like when I speak in America, it's different landscape, but they throw their money behind things in hope that let's give this a go. Let's see if it works. Let's trial it because we want to get ahead of these things, and they're happy to put back things and put their weight behind things. And I just wish we would do a little bit more of that because it feels like we're very reactive to when things go wrong and there's a crisis situation and there's a mental health crisis and blah, 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 blah. Like start thinking about what's happening next. Move the chess piece before the chess piece gets knocked over.
For our next generation, isn't it,
100%, yeah. Parenting's the thing for me at the moment. I think we need to focus real heavily on the parenting aspect side of things. As we've alluded to, it's not an easy thing to do, but if we focus on how we bring up and nurture these kids, I think a lot of families are having kids because it's our God-given right. But it's also, imagine what that would look like if everybody was going out and learning about child development before they had kids so that they could nurture that kid to a better degree.
I've got a friend who is a child psychologist, and she came on the podcast, I was asking a few questions about, children with neurodivergent children and stuff. And she says a lot of the time, the parent would drop off the kid, and she'll go, "No, mate, you're in here too."
100%.
And I'm like, "Really?" And she was just like, "Yep." So it's all got to do with the parent, and the kid's there. He takes some, some habits, some techniques, some tools and ways. But she goes, a lot of the time,
100.
I'm talking to the parent first, then the child.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's like all the modeling that the child's doing, they're seeing it from the parent.
I love the work of, I do a lot of work with Karen Young. She's fantastic. I do a lot of work. I do some work with Lael Stone. She's fantastic. Like Lael's new book, Own Your Story, Parent Yourself First. I think that's a big one. No one likes to hear that.
Yeah.
But it's important. There's no harm in going, okay, I'm maybe not doing this to the best of what I probably could do. That's because I'm limited in what I know. So what about if you go and get all the information you need to know? And if you don't ever need it, fantastic. But when you do, it's there. And that's the premise that we should be having kids on. Is like, you know what? I know I'm blessed to be able to have them, but how can I bless my kid by being in the best space to be able to bring them up in this world that's forever growing and changing and harder than ever?
Yeah, harder than ever. And that's honestly been my biggest motivator for me, going through my stages of learning and evolving in my sort of healing journey was the fact that I want to have kids someday.
Yeah.
And I looked at, for example, my own father who had a really, really traumatic upbringing, and he changed physical things in his life when he was a father. So no violence, no alcohol in the house, because that's what he came up with. But what was lacking was and something that he didn't know, he was doing the best he could with what he had. But there was no emotional connection, right? And that's something that I really, really needed. And he didn't heal emotionally from the trauma that he went through. He definitely changed physical things, but he didn't see a psychologist, didn't talk about it. He buried that thing.
Yeah.
And you could see it coming out in
Different
ways. And it's even passed. I feel like it's passed on to the kids.
It all does.
Myself, my older brother, my younger brother, we have all gone through our own versions of anxiety and depression. Yet we had such a loving, childhood, but we all have sort of feeling what Dad had felt,
in different ways. Yeah, it comes up.
It does come up. So my motivation was like, all right, well, if I've got these things, Dad didn't know how to, what to do with them. It's my responsibility now. I can't blame anyone else. It's my responsibility now to take action and go, all right, what can I do now? So then, my kids are going to have the best,
100
best start to their life.
And it's always the best thing about this work that we're doing, being in this space, is the more of this work you do, it always benefits someone else. It always benefits yourself.
Yeah.
No one loses.
Yeah.
So the more of it we can do, it's actually enjoyable. And there's levels to this thing, and you can keep growing and growing and growing.
I reckon it's been the most enjoyable journey because it removed a lot of blockages in my life emotionally where I found it very hard to cry, to really feel deep emotion. I could get angry very easily, but I couldn't be happy. I couldn't find joy. I was always like living in this state of like anxiety, fear, anger. And what it allowed me to feel was like true love and happiness and peace in my life and empathy and, very compassionate and stuff. And I was like, where was all this all my life? And even the ability to cry, I never had it. And all of a sudden, the last 2 years, I drive out to work to the mines. And it's a 2-hour drive, and I'm from the airport, and I'm crying, and not just at sad things. Like I'll cry thinking about sad things that have happened in my life, but I also cry in like happy things too. Like how good's my life? I fucking love this. And I never had that ability until I'd done that deep work, and it removed all those blockages in my life. And I'm like, this is amazing. I love this.
I just recently watched the Netflix documentary after it was recommended by Conor McGregor. Went through his journey that he's just been on overseas in Mexico. I'm going to forget the name of it right now. But I just watched that. And just to see these PTSD veterans go through fought in Afghanistan, fought in Iraq, go over and do this work with psychedelics and stuff, it's just like, it just piques your curiosity. It's like, look at these guys, like 12 years of having a headache and now he doesn't have a headache. Look at this guy who's been on those front edges of some really difficult and sharp edges of love and life and now has no suicidal thoughts. It's like, well, how doesn't that pique people's curiosity to go, you mean there's something different out there that I could do that might change the course of my life in the betterment? Like, how do you want to run towards that?
I don't know. Have you dabbled in psychedelics?
Yes. And
in a healing way? Or
yes, healing way. Yeah, healing way. But I also look at that Mexico and straight away, like I look at him going, that's where I'm going next. Like, why not? Like, let's go and find out what else can I put in the arsenal? And obviously you got to do due diligence and understand it and research it. But yeah, it's just another thing. What's this world going to look like in a few years' time? Because that's the way it's going. And there's going to be a lot of naysayers around that word right now. But in 10 years' time, look, it'll be the new cold showers and breath work.
Taking a couple of DMT hits. But that's like your thing. It's like my thing too, is like addicted to that growth and evolving and like, how can I get better? Jordan's always been like, you are addicted.
Yeah, sicko for growth.
You're sicko for growth. Like if you're not growing, you feel like you're stagnant.
Yeah. There's just other ways to live. Like you just mentioned anger before. Like I'm sure sometimes I just hold it in there and I'm like, you know what? I've done so much work on myself. When does this end? But it's just like, you can look at it like that, or you can go, what else is there out there that might just enable me to wake up or deal with that emotion a little bit differently? And that's exciting.
Just before we finish, I've got some quick fire questions.
Cool.
So answer these quickly or as long as you like. What brings you the most peace and joy in your life?
My partner and just the contentment of being in our own home, just in our own space and thinking about what life looks like next. You know, it's nice to be finally at that part of the journey where you like yourself trying for kids and yeah, just seeing my mates around me in that same state of joy of having kids. And that's literally a thought that saved my life, is the thought of one day having kids. And I'm closer to that than I've ever been, which is a beautiful thing.
What are you most grateful for?
I'm going to say today it's my upbringing through my father. I mean, just the way the things that he did. And I know that we fought like hell, but I'm very grateful for my dad and the relationship that we have. To have my best mate in my own father is a beautiful thing.
What's your proudest moment?
I get pretty proud when I sit up the back and watch the facilitators do their thing. I don't necessarily have proud moments in the things that I've achieved, but I definitely sit up the back and and watch these young kids have that much joy and excitement playing with our facilitators. There's their proud moments where I'm not doing it, I'm not facilitating it, I'm just witnessing it, and they're the things that make me proud.
What's your hardest day of your life?
I've had many of them. Hardest day of my life. I think it goes consistently with the things that I've been experiencing this year in terms of just feeling like it's just a consistent hard moment for me that I'm still battling with, which is feeling like you're everything to everyone when they need you and want their support, and then you're nothing to them the next day when they don't.
Last one. How have you defined success in your life? Not professionally, but personally.
Just living in authenticity to who I am and being authentic to me and trying to reach my full potential. And that's not full potential in professional side of things. That's my full potential in terms of using those life experiences that have happened to me to help live in the betterment of someone else.
So I've got a little surprise for you. Do you know about this?
No.
So I've got a closing tradition of the podcast where I don't ask the last question. I get friends and family. They send in questions for you.
Okay.
So she's done a good job then if she didn't say anything. So we got Tori. Obviously your partner, everyone's listening. So she's got a few questions.
Uh-oh.
What emotions are hardest for you to sit with and why?
Anger. Anger is the hardest emotion to sit with. It's just a hard emotion to regulate because you feel emotions so deeply and so intense. I definitely do. That sometimes it's definitely my hardest emotion to regulate, but it's our hardest emotion to articulate. Yeah.
How do you balance taking care of your mental health whilst also still chasing your goals?
It's just staying disciplined and consistent to being authentic to who I am and what I advocate for. It's very hard to walk out on stage and talk to this stuff if I ain't doing it myself. So, and she's definitely a big part of helping me to balance that. She's a great driver of my physical and emotional and mental health because she's so disciplined at hers.
Last one. She wants to know what makes you happy.
She definitely makes me happy.
She makes you happy.
But the thought, as I said, the thought of where we're at and where we're going next, I've never been as close as I am to that. And as the thought that saved my life in 2000, whatever year it was when I first started to take my life, was the thought of having kids. And when I was in that dark moment, to have some voice literally pop up and say to me that one day you're going to have kids and you want to be here to see it was why I'm still here to be able to tell these stories. So it's, that was a far-fetched thought for a lot of years, which probably made it really hard to keep going because it's like, it's so far away. But, because we're in a really good place and that's where we're at. And, hopefully the next time I'm talking on any of these podcasts, hopefully there is a little version of me somewhere there that I'm trying to wrap my head around and trying to navigate. And that, I mean, look at our faces right now. That's what it's all about. And as I said, I feel like I'm the closest I've ever been to achieving my lifelong dream, and that's to be a dad.
Mate, thank you so much for coming on today, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Not to get your insights and your knowledge and all the things that you've gone through. I want to thank you so much for being so open and honest and sharing your story, but also to get to know you on a more personal level. I think we have a few similar thoughts and feelings, and it's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Mind Your Head. If you'd like to support the show, be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really supports the show and helps others discover us. Don't forget to join us on Instagram and TikTok at mindyourhead.podcast. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we record this podcast, the Gubbi Gubbi people. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Indigenous peoples. We honour their enduring connection to the land, waters and culture, and recognise their invaluable contributions they make to our communities. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.